Everyone, Gear Modder here. Wanted to do a quick review of a new knife that I purchased. This is the Boker Micro Tracker Fold Knife. Let's get started. So today we're taking a look at the Boker Wenger Micro Tracker Fold Knife. It just came out not too long ago, so I grabbed it as soon as I could, and I love this knife. So this spoiler alert, I love this knife. It's a great knife, but let's get into why. I'll do some comparisons. But yeah, it's really, really nice. So whenever I go hiking, I tend to carry this knife. This is the Boker Wenger Micro Tracker. This is their fixed blade. I think there's a newer one out now that has screws versus these brass pins here. But I love this knife. It's a great knife. It's super thick for just for a small knife. The tip is really nice and stout, so that you won't break it. There's a lot of things I liked about it, but of course I love the tracker style with the quarter round here and the draw knife piece here. Great for making curls, great for a number of things. But when you're in the woods, I think this is the design to have. And of course on this knife too, you have the different grinds, right? So that's the standard tracker design, would be to have the two different grinds for what you're doing. The draw edge here should have a sharper grind on it than the chopping piece, the slicing, chopping area on the front. Okay, so then they came out with this one, which is very, very similar. I mean, you can tell they are almost the exact same in dimensions. The fixed blade is a little bit thicker, as you can tell here. It's just a little bit thicker. But the folding version is still nice and thick, right? It's not a thin knife. I'll compare it to, this is my 06 Auto, and it's the same thickness. And this knife, I've put it through a lot. Tip never breaks. I've pried a little bit with this. It's a nice thickness for a fold knife. And you can see that the tip on this one is also really stout. So I have no concerns about breaking the tip or breaking the blade on the Micro Tracker Fold knife. Just a really nice stout blade. The angle of the quarter round was something that I wasn't too sure of, because not all knives or not all tracker knives have that same angle, but it's the exact same angle, which is really nice to see between the two blades. And of course it has the offset grind too for the draw portion of the blade and the quarter round. So that was nice to see. The steel on this is a 154 cm steel. So it's a nice stainless steel. It's got the deep pocket carry. I like that it has the metal liners all the way through, so it adds some durability to the knife. Ball bearings, of course you can read all the specs online. The ball bearings makes it very easy to deploy the blade. I do wish it had a little bit of a thicker lining, just to make it a little more durable, last maybe a little bit longer. I probably wouldn't baton with this knife. I guess that's kind of where I'm getting at. So if you're going to have an outdoor pocket knife that you wanted to baton with, this is probably not going to last too long. That'd be my guess, just because of the locking mechanism. It does lock almost center, which is nice. And so I don't have any fears that it's going to close on me. But again, I probably wouldn't baton with this blade. The other thing that's kind of cool about this knife, that as I was looking through it, there's no stop pins. There's no stop pin for the back, and there's no stop pin for the close either, for the closing action. So the way they make this work, the camera will get it, but there are grooves inside of the liners, and there are pegs on either side of the blade. And the pegs move into the grooves, and that's how it locks. That's the stopping mechanism. You can almost see it. I'm sure if he'll pick it up, but you can almost see it in between the liners there. So there's I'm not sure if it's a crossbar through the blade, but that's what's making it stop in place, and that's what keeps it from closing too far and hitting the back spacer. So really neat design, but it was just cool to see no stopping pins that are visible anyway. So very neat. So if you like this knife and you've taken this knife out and you've used it quite a bit, it's a great blade for if you want something lightweight that's easy to hike with. It's a great blade. And this one's even lighter. So like my wife likes to use this blade because it won't pull her leggings down when she puts it in her pocket, because the weight is just really nice. It's super lightweight. So it's a great lightweight option for hiking, camping, things like that. My previous EDC was my 06 Auto. Of course, I love this blade. It does everything I need it to do, and I'm still going to keep this in the rotation. So this is more of a car knife. So if you were with maybe you're going in someone else's car and you didn't have your car knife, in your door or in your console, I would carry this knife and I would just swap knives for the day. Because if you needed to break glass or cut seat belt, this would be the knife that I would use just for quick deployment. Almost cut myself there. But if I'm not, this is my go-to. It's just so much lighter. It's so much lighter. It has a lot of functionality. I was doing some food prep the other day, and it's easier to just carve an apple or an orange with that draw hook than it is with serrations. So definitely a really cool blade. The other one I wanted to compare it to was my Tom Brown T3 tracker. Great knife. I love this one. This was ATS 34 still. I think now it's 154 cm. So I think now the latest production is the same steel that this one's made out of. A couple of things though is I had to regrind the draw blade portion, because it was the same ground as the chopping section here, but you want that one to be a little sharper grind. So this one already has it, which is really cool to see. Definitely closer to the original concept of the tracker knife. So the other thing, just a real quick call out too, is if you buy the Tom Brown, the Tops version of the tracker knife, the quarter round is not really a quarter round. It's a much shallower curve. So I had to regrind that too to actually make it more of a quarter round. This one already has it. So really cool to have. If you know how to use a quarter round, you'll know why that's important. If not, then let me know. I can make a video on why that's important later. But to have a true quarter round on that draw portion of the blade makes a difference, depending on how you're using the blade, depending on how you're using the knife. Just for comparison, again, these are micro tracker knives, so they're designed to be smaller. And this is a medium version of the tracker. There's a bigger one too. But yeah, great knives. But I love this knife. It's super cool. I'm so glad I got it. Of course, I got my wife one too. She was jealous. But it's just really well made. I like it a lot. I do wish that the liner lock was a little bit thicker, but there's no movement. There's no up and down, side to side. There's nothing. It is solid. So I'm not too concerned with it at all. But again, I don't know that I would baton with it. I might buy another one just to destroy it and baton with it and see if it'll take it. But we'll see. The other thing I was thinking about doing was putting some a saw back on here. But again, another difference between these two blades, this is the fixed version, this is the folding version. The folding version has a false edge on top. It's got a false edge on top. So this one doesn't have that. So this one would actually be pretty easy to put a saw back if I wanted. Saw back is, of course, traditional tracker design. So I could do it on this one probably and make it work, but this one with the false edge makes it a little more difficult to do. So, and it's a pocket knife, right? So if it did have saw teeth on it, it'd probably grab your pocket taking it out. It'd probably tear your jeans up, whatever. Um, so I'm probably going to leave this one as is. Again, it does really good for what it's designed to do, which is kind of this outdoor camping, everyday use knife. You're not going to be cutting webbing. You're not going to be cutting cord, although it does all that. It does it really. So that cord around is like one giant serration. So it can do all those tasks, but maybe not as good as something with dedicated serrations on it. But if you're looking just to cut, slice, I don't. It's not gonna chop very well. It just doesn't have the weight to it. So definitely not a chopping knife by any means. Even I've seen people chop with this one, but this one has a lot more weight to it than, yeah. So definitely not a chopping knife. If you had to in a situation where this is the only knife you had, I'm sure you could probably make it work. It does have a lanyard hole, which is kind of neat. So you could grip it at the very bottom. You put a lanyard through it, and maybe get some kind of chopping in if you needed to. But definitely not would be my first choice for a chopping knife. But again, I love this knife. So if you like the tracker design, you're familiar with the tracker design and how to use it, and you're looking for a lightweight hiking option. So for example, my wife carries the Tom Brown T4 tracker, way smaller version of the tracker because she likes the design. She's very versed on how to use the different parts of the blade. If you like that concept of the tracker, you're familiar with it, and you want something smaller, lightweight, that folds, definitely grab the Boker Wenger micro tracker fold knife. Great steel, great design. I like the grinds. I like everything about this knife. If I had to change one thing, I might make the liners just a little bit thicker and make it to where you could baton with it in an emergency. You might be able to baton with this one. Again, the locking pins, which take the brunt of the force when you're batoning, they might work. So I might have to give it a shot. But just my gut instinct tells me you probably can't, or can't that many times. So we'll test it out. We'll see. But yeah, definitely pick one up. They're not too expensive, which is really nice. I think I grabbed these I grabbed these off of the Boker website for I think $120 a piece, something like that. And then of course this is that G10 material here. So really nice, very sturdy G10 spacer in the back here. But yeah, definitely worth grabbing. All right, I'll take it out later when the weather gets better. I can do some hiking. I'll put it to use. I might baton with it and grab me another one just in case, and let y'all know how it turns out. But if you were on the fence, I would say grab one. These are really, really cool, really cool blades. All right, until next time, this is Gear Modder signing out.